Welcome to Secret Love Channel. If a man truly loves you, he will never say such casual words. But how do you know if those words reflect true love? In love, there are words that just by hearing them are enough for you to feel sincerity or superficiality. A man who truly loves will never waste his words. Every sentence he utters carries a clear message, showing his care, love and respect for you. So have you ever wondered if his words really make you feel loved and appreciated? Let's find out. Is his love deep enough to overcome casual words? 1. He says, "You think too much." When two people are together, there is no such thing as peace and happiness forever. Sometimes conflicts and arguments will happen. This is completely normal. But the scary thing is not the conflict but the man's indifference after each argument. If a man often says, "You think too much," women must consider carefully whether he really has you in his heart or not. Because it is very possible that deep down he feels you are annoying. And he wants to express his discomfort from the bottom of his heart. Regardless of how you feel, when a man often says, "You think too much," it is not just a simple reminder, but it can be a sign that he no longer cares enough about your feelings. Conflict in a relationship is normal, but indifference and coldness after each argument is worrying. If you feel that you are not being listened to, not being appreciated, maybe it is time for you to seriously reconsider this relationship. 2. That is, "I love you very much." In fact, couples who have been in love for a long time rarely say, "I love you" or "You love me." Of course, there are still romantic couples that last for many years. However, the man often uses this phrase during an argument. Instead of solving the problem, it is very likely that he is tired of love. "I love you very much," this sentence is just a lie, threatening with the main purpose of soothing the woman's unpleasant mood. If that man really loves you, he will only say sweet words when both of you are happy. When a man says, "I love you very much," during an argument, this may just be a hasty word to ease the situation without sincerity. A person who truly loves you will not use words to avoid solving the problem. If the feelings have faded, the words of love are just to soothe. There is no longer any truth behind it. 3. He says, "Do it yourself." If a man truly loves you, he will want to step into your life. He will not hesitate to make suggestions, proposals, or even take the initiative to help you. On the contrary, if he does not bother to care, help, or share those things with you, even when he sees your busyness and difficulties, he still indifferently says, "Do it yourself." This sentence sounds like respecting your decision, but in fact it shows indifference. When a man says, "Do it yourself," it is a sign of indifference and lack of concern. A man who truly loves you will not hesitate to share the burden with you, instead of just standing by and watching. If he is no longer willing to help or care about your difficulties, it is possible that this relationship has lost its connection and respect. If you have followed this far, please leave a comment. "I want happiness." That is, you will give us more motivation to make more meaningful videos. If you have not clicked like, please give the video one like. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel to support. We will give you a heart. Thank you very much. 4. That is, he said, "Up to you." In love, two people will consider each other's problems as their own. Listen carefully, and come up with solutions to solve the problem, because they have determined to be together until the end of their lives. The two will face the world together. But if one day, you want to consult or share your opinion with that man and he only says one sentence, "Up to you," it proves that he is bored with you. Because he is bored with you, he no longer has the mind to worry about your business. Whatever you say, whatever you think. He just sees it as a nuisance. No need to worry. When a man says, whatever you want, it's a sign that he's no longer interested in the relationship as he once was. At this point, the feelings and connection between the two of you have faded, and he no longer wants to share or accompany you. In love, words are not just a passing sound but a way for a person to convey feelings and appreciation. A man who truly loves you will never let you feel hurt by careless words or lack of attention. What he says and does comes from the desire to bring you happiness, not to prove or comfort you superficially. So listen not only to what he says, but also to how he shows his love through actions, gentleness and sincerity. True love is something that does not need to seek too many affirmations, because the smallest details are enough for you to feel that his heart is always devoted to you. Sophie and Ethan have been in love for 3 years. A long enough time to understand each other but also long enough for familiarity to sometimes become cracks in the relationship. At first, their love was as beautiful as a romantic novel. Ethan was always gentle and meticulous, from goodnight messages to remembering every little detail about Sophie's hobbies. But gradually, those sweet words appeared less and less, replaced by indifference and superficiality. Sophie didn't want to think too much, but there were signs that kept hitting her eyes that she couldn't ignore. One evening, after James came home late from work, Emily felt a pressure in her heart that she couldn't keep quiet anymore. She had waited for him all day, just to see him and share her thoughts. But as soon as James entered the house, he immediately immersed himself in his phone, ignoring everything around him. James, I want to talk for a bit. Okay? Emily spoke softly, her eyes both expectant and worried. James still didn't pay attention, just saying a curt sentence without taking his eyes off the screen. If you have something to say, say it. Emily felt choked up, taking a deep breath to stop her tears from flowing. I feel like we've grown apart lately. You're not the same as before. Are you not as concerned about me as before? James raised his head, sighed, and said something as if he wanted to end the conversation immediately. You think too much. That sentence was like a stab to Emily's heart. Cold and emotionless. You think too much. Those 4 words seemed to deny all the emotions, all the worries that Emily had for this relationship. She didn't need James to agree with everything she said. She just wanted him to listen and understand what she was going through. But this wasn't the only time Emily felt hurt by James's careless words. Another time, after the two argued because James canceled a date to go out with friends, Emily asked frankly, James, do you still love me? James replied without hesitation, I love you very much. The answer sounded reasonable. But why did Emily feel her heart cold? James's voice was emotionless, as if he had just said it to get things done quickly. Not because he really wanted to prove his love. I love you so much. Now it had become an empty word, without any action to go with it. In the following days, Emily tried to hold on. She spent time preparing meals, planning warm evenings, hoping that it could make James feel closer. But all those efforts were met with indifference and apathy. One day, when Emily was hurriedly preparing dinner, she saw James sitting on the chair, his eyes still glued to his phone. She spoke up, her voice pleading, James, can you help me a little? James raised his head, responding with a cold attitude, do it yourself. Emily paused. Her hands that were cutting vegetables suddenly stopped. Do it yourself. That sentence was like a cold declaration that he no longer wanted to share anything with her. Emily didn't need him to do everything. Just stand by her side and ask a question. or even just help her a little so she wouldn't feel lonely. But James didn't even bother to look at her again. Their relationship seemed to be falling apart. One day, Emily wanted to share her long-cherished travel plans. Just to find a little encouragement from James. She opened her computer and showed him the places they had mentioned. "What do you think? Can we go here?" Emily asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. James glanced at the screen. Shrugged. "Up to you." "It's up to you." Those two words were like a bucket of cold water that extinguished all hope in Emily. Up to you? Was it that he didn't care what she wanted? Or was he no longer interested in their common plans? That night, Emily sat alone in the dark room. Tears falling silently. She remembered the early days when James always took care of her and loved her with all his heart. But now, that love was only cold and distant. Emily didn't know what she did wrong. But she understood that it was the indifference in James's words that gradually destroyed this relationship. Finally, Emily decided to leave. She understood that a man who truly loved would never say superficial words like, "You think too much," "I love you very much," or, "It's up to you." Because every word has the power to make a person feel happy or hurt to the core. And James, with his insincere words, had broken the love that Emily has always tried to preserve. Oh, if a man says these 4 sentences, no matter how painful it is, women should let go. It is violence, because they not only hurt the heart but also gradually erode a relationship. Words are not only a means of communication but also a way to show respect, affection and care for each other. But when a man says these words unintentionally, superficially, even hurtfully, it is like a knife cutting deep into a woman's heart, leaving scars that are not easy to fade. Women can endure coldness, can forgive a man's slip of the tongue. But there are limits that if crossed, no matter how painful, they should let go. Because continuing to hold on to a relationship where a man does not appreciate you only makes your heart more broken. So, if a man says these 4 sentences, you should be strong enough to leave. What are those sentences? Let's find out more. 1. That's how I am. If you can stand it, stay or quit. A thoughtful man, who knows how to care for his wife and children, will never say such a thing. A man who truly loves you is a true husband and father. Will always sit down with his wife and calmly solve all problems. They will find out with their wife where the mistake is, how to fix it and solve it. If it is a good thing, a positive thing for his wife, for their married life, he will not hesitate to admit his mistake, and will always try to become better. As for men who say, "That's how I am. If you can stand it, stay or quit," it means that he has affirmed to you that he will not change. And he does not need you anymore. Does not need you to try with him anymore. So when that man no longer needs you, no longer wants to try for you, then what are we women doing by his side? Isn't it true that the more you cling to him, the more you hate each other? When a man no longer values you, all efforts to cling will only make both of you more tired and distant. Women deserve a love where they are loved and respected. Letting go is not a failure, but the first step to finding yourself and true happiness. Love yourself enough to know when to stop. 2. This is not your business. Don't worry about my business. This is the saying of a man who feels tired of you. Tired of your care and love for him. When we love each other and get married, we really need sympathy and understanding, especially the care of the other person. But when one of the two feels that they no longer need it, no longer appreciate the care of the other half, it proves that this relationship has reached the brink of collapse. When care is no longer appreciated, the relationship gradually loses its meaning. Women need to be brave enough to step out. Because loving the right person will always be responded to with sympathy and understanding. 3. Can you stop asking me for help? I'm already very busy. A man who truly loves you will never say he's busy and refuse to help you. Because the taboo in love and marriage is abandoning each other in times of trouble and difficulty. When a man truly loves, he will care deeply about his woman. He never wants his woman to encounter difficulties or uncertainties alone because a man's instinct is to protect and shelter the weaker sex. He will never use the excuse of being busy and harshly say, "Don't ask me anymore." If a man says this, it means he is quite bored and feels tired and pressured by you. When love is gone, care and support will gradually disappear. A man who truly loves will always be there for you, especially in difficult times. If he refuses to help, it is a sign of fatigue and distance in the relationship. 4. It's up to you, or whatever. Once a man says, "It's up to you," or whatever, it means he no longer wants to care about this relationship or you. Now you and the feelings between the two of you are no longer on his mind. At this point, the man's indifference has reached its peak. And when a man has run out of feelings, no longer values you, he will say very cruel words that have a great damage to women. In love, words are not just passing sounds but a mirror reflecting the heart and respect of one person for another. When a man utters cold, superficial or hurtful words, it not only hurts the woman but also exposes his lack of sincerity in his feelings. Women can forgive, can be tolerant, but do not lose your self-respect and self-worth just to hold on to someone who no longer puts you in an important position in his heart. True love is never one-sided suffering, but companionship, sharing and mutual respect. If a man says things that make you feel unloved, be strong enough to leave, no matter how painful it is, because you deserve a complete love, where every word and action is sincere and deeply caring. Believe that letting go at the right time is not the end, but the beginning of a new journey, where you will find someone who truly loves and cherishes you. On a rainy night, Elena sat quietly by the window, the dim light shining on her face. But that light could not erase the sadness in her heart. Alex's words still echoed in her mind, each word like a sharp knife cutting into her heart. They used to have sweet moments. But now, everything has changed, like a sudden rain that erases all memories. The first sentence, "I am like this. If you can bear it, stay. If not, go," kept repeating in Elena's head, like a death sentence for this relationship. She remembered the early days. Alex always tried to change, always listened and cared for her. But now, that sentence was like an affirmation that he no longer wanted to try. Elena wondered, was the man she once loved so madly really the one standing in front of her now? Then came the second sentence. "This is none of your business. Don't worry about me." Alex said that when Elena just wanted to help him solve a problem at the company. She just wanted to share and make him less worried. But that sentence was like a slap in the heart. She suddenly realized that, in Alex's world now, she was no longer the person he trusted or needed. Another time, when she asked him to fix her broken motorbike, he replied coldly, "Don't bother me anymore. I'm very busy." Elena didn't blame him for his work. But the way he flatly refused made her feel like she was just an unnecessary nuisance in his life. She used to think that love was about sharing and accompanying. But to Alex, it seemed that it was no longer important. The climax was the last sentence. "It's up to you, or whatever." These words were like a cold block of ice. making Elena feel that she was completely meaningless in his eyes. That sentence not only showed indifference but also showed that this love was no longer worth it to Alex. Elena sat there, tears falling down continuously. But deep inside her heart, a strong feeling arose. She realized that loving someone did not mean accepting all the pain they brought. She loved, sacrificed. But if that person no longer cherished, then continuing would only be torture for both of them. Elena decided to let go. She did not blame, did not hate, but only wrote a final letter to Alex. A sincere goodbye. No more anger or pain. That night, when the last tears rolled down her cheeks, she felt a strange sense of relief. She knew that from now on, she would walk her own path, without indifference, without hurtful words. And although the road will not be easy, she believes that somewhere, a worthy person will wait for her, with true love and respect. If you find the video useful, please share it with many people, as well as subscribe to the channel. Like, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you in the next video.